Enemy Zero is a 1996 survival horror adventure video game for the Sega Saturn. Developed by Warp and directed by Kenji Eno, after its Saturn release it was ported to Microsoft Windows. It was the second game to star the digital character of Laura Louise, the first being in the video game D. In Enemy Zero, the gameplay sequences alternate from basically a point-and-click adventure to then a first-person shooter, as you will soon see. Also, I'm playing this with the 3D analog controller for the Sega Saturn, and it works perfectly fine. I didn't realise this, and this is also the Japanese version. My English copy is a bit scratched now. I had it from when I was younger, and it no longer works now, so I had to find another copy, and it is damn expensive to get hold of. So I got the Japanese version as it was ever so slightly cheaper. Now, this game is absolutely terrifying. The enemy itself is invisible. I know that sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but once you start playing this, it is insanely creepy. Because the only way you can identify where the enemy is, or the alien if you'd rather, is by sound. I know, sound. Something invisible and you can only hear it by sound. Really annoying. You have different pitch notes helping the player find the distance and direction of enemies. Additionally, every gun in the game must be charged up immediately before each shot. I have died many times. Only shoot when you know it's there, otherwise you are pretty much dead from then on in, because the gun has a ridiculous reload time before you can shoot again. In Enemy Zero, reloading guns and moving the character around are mechanics that have been made intentionally slow, which stimulates players to avoid combat and direct contact with the alien enemies as much as possible. Yeah, I highly recommend that you do avoid them. Otherwise it's game over, man! Game over! Since the player has no means to defend he or herself without a gun, Enemy Zero is an example of a game containing stealth elements, roughly 2 years before the release of Metal Gear Solid, which popularized the genre worldwide. Reception for the game was amazeballs. Probably not the best term to say, but the reception of the game was actually really positive. 1997, French magazine Console Plus scored it 89% overall, including individual ratings of 90% for presentation, 91% for graphics, 83% for animation, 87% for music, and 82% for sound effects, and 90% for lastability. They concluded that while it might not please everyone, it is a gory, original, and beautiful game with high difficulty and a special atmosphere. British magazine Mean Machine scored it 90% overall, and said it had high replayability. In 1998, Electric Playground scored it 8 out of 10, and concluding that it's definitely one of the best Sega Saturn games of all time and of the year, and its high points are the innovations like the energy gun and the VPS that makes the game unlike anything else. American magazine Game Fan gave it Mega Award for Best Import and Game of the Year for the year of 1996. Now, Enemy Zero is a truly fantastic and beautiful game. The fact that you have two types of game, essentially, within the game. So you have the point-and-click aspect, which is then totally reversed and flipped into a first-person shooter, with an enemy that you can't see, and you have to rely on audio cues to know where it is. It really racks up the tension, and the atmosphere is just incredibly scary once you start putting a lot of time into it. I mean, just playing it now is absolutely terrifying, because it's just the atmosphere it gives off, the emptiness of space, the lack of any life or anyone to interact with in the game, to start with anyway, is utterly terrifying. And I highly recommend this game. I highly recommend you find a copy and buy it. It can be a little bit expensive and steep to get hold of, but I'm playing it with an Action Replay card on my Sega Saturn anyway, so The Japanese version, it doesn't bother me. So if you can find a cheap enough copy out there, or maybe even a ROM or something like that, just so you can play it, because it is definitely worth owning for a start, and it's definitely worth playing. So go out there, play it, and enjoy it. Maybe don't soil yourself. But if you do soil yourself, I don't blame you. This game is terrifying.
What could possibly go wrong?